Well, we can go ahead and get started. We're almost at 7:40. If we have a few more join us, that'd be awesome. But I want to value everyone's time. Some of us have kids that hopefully will be going to bed soon. We'll see. We'll see if mine are in bed at the end of this. They're right now watching Star Wars, so we'll see how long that lasts. So my name is Taryn Thorpe. I work for Elim Fellowship. I do marketing and communications coordinator over there. But most importantly, I'm a mom, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years, and now I'm again a stay-at-home mom because of COVID, which is why we've been wanting to do this type of huddle, because parenting looks a lot different than how it has been in the past. And I mean, I am thankful for the extra time with my children, but Lord help us. We need some help in this season. So I'm really excited for this huddle, the parenting huddle. It's one that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm really excited that we get to do it. So besides me, I am joined by two other wonderful mothers. We have Katie Scorsone, Mark Scorsone's wife, and Joann Jansen. Hi. So I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves really quick before we get started. So Katie, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can hit unmute. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Taryn. Katie Scorsone. Yes, I am Mark's wife. But I also, we have 4 children, and I work in a school district as a learning specialist. I spent 16 months getting my master's degree and accomplished that. And I've been working in Pittsburgh Central School District as a learning specialist in a program that actually works a lot. We work a lot with kids that need social and emotional support. So that's me.
And on top of all that, you're just having like ankle surgeries and just doing it all.
I just had ankle surgery a week ago, and I'm actually doing way better than expected. So I'm very thankful that I'm walking around and able to chase my children, even though I'm wearing a big old boot.
And thankful that you could be with us, because when we scheduled this,
yeah,
we weren't sure how loopy you were tonight, but so far you're doing good. So
doing all right. Good.
And Joann, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hi, Joann Jansen. I'm Joe Jansen's wife. I'm the U.S. Ministries Administrative Assistant here at Elim Fellowship. But I'm a mother of 3, which I always thought was my greatest badge and title until I became a grandmother. And that has totally taken over the best title known to man. So that's my role right now: wife, mother, grandmother, and admin assistant.
I love that. So I'm gonna actually bring it back to you, Joann, as we get started. So for you parents out there that are with us tonight and will be watching later on, as I said, COVID has really changed parenting. It's changed things up a little bit, where if you're like me, you know, we're getting back to work. We're getting back into the swing of things. We're finding this new normal. Maybe your ministries are starting back up, or things are different, or maybe just it's summer and there's less to do. And so for me, and maybe for you, just finding this balance between work and ministry and home with children and socialization. So Joann, I know this is something that you're really passionate about, something you want to talk about tonight, is how do us as parents not just survive this summer, but really thrive and create a balance where, you know, we're creating space, you know, when we need those little breaks, but also creating great memories and really just giving our children great tools to get through this summer happy, and not just get from A to Z and get it over with, but really creating this time where they look back. They don't remember stressed out parents, but they remember happy parents, hopefully.
Yeah, that's good. You know, when this first started, like probably not right at the beginning, but early on, I started to think about parenting during this must just be unbelievable. Like, you know, because we gear up for, first I should say, I was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years. I have 3 kids. My son Joe is going to be 35. in August, and he's married to Carrie, and they live in Manhattan. My son Josh is married to Esther. He's 32, I think, and they gave us our first grandchild, Wesley, who's 5.5, and they gave us our second grandchild, Chloe, who's 3. Best thing that ever happened in my world. Best gifts I didn't even know I needed. And then Janelle has a birthday this month. She's going to be 27, and she gave us Roman, and he's going to be 3 also this month. And I was thinking back to when during this at the beginning, what summer used to be like for us. Summer vacation it's a big transition for parents. This started in March. So you parents are going to be doing this. We're in our 5th month now, and you're going to be doing this at least until the end of August, beginning of September, and that's on a good day, depending on how our governor feels. And it really got me praying for parents, because this has to be just so unbelievably stressful. And it made me I'm going to put my glasses on, because that was one of my pledges during 2020, is that I was going to do it. I was going to do reading glasses. So I did it. But Psalm 127, verse 3 says that children are a gift from the Lord. They're a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is he whose quiver is full of them. And sometimes as parents, when you're in the thick of it, you kind of forget that's true. I was 21 when I had my first baby, 28 when I had my last. And I'm really organized. I like schedule. I like things. I like to know what's going to happen when it's going to happen. So during summer vacation, when it was going to be summer break, I did a schedule. And I recommend that for what's happening now, that you come up with a schedule. And I would do a schedule for every day. I didn't write things down like brush your teeth, get out of your pajamas, that kind of stuff. But what is going to happen, so that when we talk about it the night before, this is what's going to happen tomorrow. We're going to go outside and play. You can have one show in the morning, whatever it is. And I was also very scheduled for food. I think as I've contemplated this over the last few months, I think that I was a little bit paranoid that my kids were going to be hungry, and I don't know why, but it was breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, bed. And I would be able to say that, and I didn't realize just how strange that seemed until I was really contemplating this. I wanted them to eat at 8, 10, 12, 3, 5, and 7, And so I think there might be something there I have to work on, but maybe I need some healing. But so doing a schedule, they know we're going to go outside, we're going to bake, we're going to cook, we're going to make snacks, whatever it is. The other thing that was very big in our house was dinner time. And that's one of the things that I have found in my conversations with parents now. It's almost like a revival of family, because we're home. Everybody's eating dinner together. Moms, dads, kids at the table. And that was very important to us. And so we always did that. And as I laugh, because I cooked for 17 years. I did the cooking. I was a stay-at-home mom. I felt like it was my job. And then when I went to work full time, when Janelle went to kindergarten, Joe was able to arrange his schedule to be home for the kids' bus. And so he would start dinner then. And it was at that point that my kids realized that their mother was a really horrible cook, and I am bad at it. And the first week at dinner that Friday, Janelle looks up they're just chowing down their food. And Janelle goes, "Mom, we didn't know." And no, you didn't know. I kept it a secret. I was a bad cook. But anyways, Joe took over, and he's been doing it ever since. And when he travels and I have to stay home and I have to feed people, I panic. But the other thing was that I'm going to give you some tips, because I think a schedule is super important. I think that, knowing what you're going to do and when you're going to do it is important. The other thing is I always had a closet of crafts. So keep your craft closet stocked with construction paper, markers, crayons, color, glue, anything that you can glue. And of course, Play-Doh, because every parent wants to take out Play-Doh. So I would definitely have a craft closet. The other thing that I found fun was, get them doing things that have to be done anyways. So like, I don't know how your storage cupboard is, your Tupperware, we used to be Tupperware, Rubbermaid, whatever it is now. Mine is always a disaster, but put one of your kids there and say, find all the lids for the Tupperware and, let them put all the lids on, and then you can stack them up nice. It gives them, and I would do that with all chores, like get them vacuuming and doing laundry, and then put music on and switch the chore, you know what I mean? So if one child's is vacuuming and one child's dusting, when the music stops, have them switch jobs. And it's not going to be the best job that you would have done, but it teaches them that we all are in this together. This is what we do. As I mentioned, meals obviously were important in my world. We, generally speaking, my kids ate pretty healthy snacks unless we baked cookies, which I did used to bake. Now I would never even dream of it. But getting them cooking is a really good thing. My kids really enjoyed cooking with me, and probably because they thought they could help me make it better. But we had a cookbook there. It was a kid's first cookbook. It's old now. I mean, I still have it. It's precious to me because, they learned thumbprint clues, how to make those thumbprint cookies. And that cookbook is important to me, but every family should have their first cookbook that their children are learning to cook from. And that is precious, that you always know where it is, and they remember those recipes. So cooking is a big thing. The other thing that I did every summer was I didn't want them to go from June to September without learning anything, because I felt like you lose so much of that education, So I had found these, and they're still available on Amazon. It's everything you need to know for the next grade that you're going into. So, when my son Joseph went to kindergarten, before he went, I did everything you need to know for kindergarten. And so working through that book. So Brain Quest, there you go. I don't even know what that is, Katie, but I trust you. Everything you need to know for the next grade they're going into. And that Monday through Friday, we did schoolwork for a little while, at least an hour, because I felt like I didn't want them to go into their next grade having lost so much. So, but it's not like, oh, we're going to school now. It's like, oh, we're going to do, some pages, and, you try to make things fun. There was also a book that was by Gloria Gaither, which most of you aren't even going to know who that is, but it was called Let's Make a Memory. And I know there's more modern versions of memory type of things, but that book really taught me that I want to make memories for my kids that they remember, and they're little things. For instance, this is just one that I made up. Groundhog's Day was a vegetarian day in our house. It was fruit salad and tossed salad. And I don't know why I did that. From reading Let's Make a Memory, I realized that you want things to be important and special. And the first year when they were teenagers, that I didn't do that on Groundhog's Day, I had meat. My kids were just like, what happened? It's Groundhog's Day, Mom. And I thought, they make fun of me for my memory thing. So I just didn't even think that they appreciated it, but they did. And another memory that I did was Easter. I have no idea where this came from, but when Joseph was his first Easter, I bought a pineapple and hid a pineapple. And so every year I have hid a pineapple, and now my adult children expect them. So, we can have 6 or 7 pineapples on Easter. But it wasn't nothing special about pineapples, or we still, would do Easter baskets when they were older, but it was I wanted it to be something that they would remember. And so that pineapple is something that they do make fun of me for, but if they didn't get it, they would be disappointed. And now I do an Easter egg hunt for the adult kids. I do it for the little kids too, but I do it for the adult kids with money in it. And then I put at the highest bill in them is a 20. And, you know, they tackle each other to find as many eggs as they can because everybody wants the $20 bill, you know, but my husband's not crazy about that little memory. But so, and I think I mentioned that we have a fabulous kids cookbook that you refer to. And then, and with memories, you want to be intentional. Katie, thank you for that word. You want to be intentional about making memories because they're the things that your children will remember when they're adults, and that they'll mock you for them. You know, they'll tease you about them, but you know when they're doing that, it's because it's something that was special to them. Another thing that was important to us was our dinner times were teaching times. You know, a lot of families do devotions, and I don't know about you, we did them. Sometimes we were successful. Most of the time we were miserable failures at it. But dinner time was like it's the Jansen family values. You know, we would talk about what is our mission as a family? Why are we here? Why do the Jansens exist as a family? And for a while, we took time making our mission statement as a family, and that became, you know, Jansen family values, you know, the Jansen family will. And we hung that in our dining room. It was there for years. And we also did a thing where I had read that kids are not just kids, but our words for feelings are really limited. Like we say we're mad, glad, sad, happy, but there's just so many words for feelings, so many ways to express yourself that you don't even think about it. And Joe and I decided that we wanted to teach our kids to use different words than just mad, glad, I'm fine, I'm okay. And so at dinner, we would do feeling words, and every night, and describe a feeling, play out a feeling. And then we hung them, you know, I was really into making posters. So I would put Velcro on them, and every night we'd do a new feeling word. And honestly, it helped our kids to be able to express themselves with many more words than they had before. And so those are just some of the things that we did. And but I want to end with this. I want to say that as a parent, you're doing way better than you think you are. You're raising world changers who have destiny, and you're doing a phenomenal job at it. And if you can parent through COVID-19, you can do anything. And so I just want to encourage you that you are amazing. What you're doing with these children, being their teachers. I was talking to my really good friend Courtney yesterday, and we were talking, she was telling me, you know, I'm everything to these kids. I'm their playmate, I'm their teacher, I'm their mother. You know, I give them a bath, and I clean Isaac up when he paints everything. And so you're everything, and you're amazing at what you're doing. And I really commend parents in 2020 who are stepping up and doing such an amazing job. So thank you, Taryn, for letting me share. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, Joann, you said one point that this is also like the revival of families. And, you know, I think I have to tell myself that too every day. Like, we'll sit at the dinner table, and my husband, most nights he works late. So we're lucky if we get a couple dinners with him, and just really being grateful for this time as much as I do want it to be over. Just having mom be like, thank you for this dinner that I'm having, because in a few months, you know, Lord willing, it'll be over and things will start to go back to normal. But
right, that's so good, Taryn.
Time, and at least be thankful for some of the good things that we're getting out of it. And
exactly.
So I know not everyone can say that, but for hopefully all of us here, we're able to have that extra time with our family that sometimes isn't always easy to come by. So thank you, Joann, for that. That was awesome. I'm definitely gonna look or rewatch this again and write down some of that. I need it. So Katie, I want to turn it over to you. We were just talking about some really awesome practical tips for scheduling and just keeping this like routine. But now I want to talk about kind of the other side of things that maybe some of us are experiencing, and I know I have been. It's kind of more this like emotional side that has been kind of springing up with COVID-19. My children go to school, and when they start coming home, I started noticing like a little bit more things like how they handle situations that I'm not used to, because usually we had teachers that would intervene and handle those things. So, or they have play dates that would kind of redirect those emotions to other things. But now they're just home and emotions are high, and not just with them, like, hello, like with me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna admit, like, I have not handled every situation as gracefully as I would like to. So Katie, I know that this is something you're really passionate about, so I'm going to hand it over to you. How do we as parents in this season, and even moving forward, because there's so many great lessons we can take from this season and really bring it into hopefully post COVID-19 life, how do we really parent our children through, the high emotions and just everything that they're adjusting through? I know this is something that you've been learning about, studied, and you're excellent. And so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great, thanks. And actually, there's quite a few things that Joann mentioned that were in my notes as well, in terms of working with our children that struggle, particularly with managing their emotions. And this is something that's really close to my heart. I think we said it, but I'll say it again. Mark and I have 4 children, ages 15, 9, 7, and 5. And out of our 4 children, 3 of them struggle greatly with anxiety. Some of them have internal anxieties, and one has external anxieties. And what I mean by that is 2 of my kids will just hold it all in. You'll notice they're chewing their nails, or they've got an upset stomach. It doesn't really affect their behavior at home or at school a ton, but it's there, and it's important to address it to help them move forward through it. And then one of my children has more of the external anxiety, where he'll just throw a tantrum and cry and scream. And so it's important to understand that anxiety presents in different ways. It presents, like I said, internally, you might notice certain behaviors that they're doing repetitively, or even perseverating thoughts. And especially during this COVID time, a lot of kids' anxiety is higher because they know they can't go to school. They know they can't go to the store without a mask. And so my children have had a lot of anxieties about just starting to do some of those normal things again, for fear of what, if they'll get sick, or get grandma sick, or get grandpa sick. And so the social emotional part of parenting, I think, especially now, is really, really crucial. And like you said, Taryn, in schools, we often address these things on a daily basis, whether it's a lesson on mindfulness, in classrooms. I know my 1st grader watches Mind Yeti on YouTube, so that's a great resource, just to kind of get his brain and body calm. And those are things that were incorporated throughout his school day that teachers did and service providers did for him. And now that he's home, I've got to figure out how to manage that. And so I loved what Joann said about schedules, because those of us who have anxiety, I say my children have a lot of anxiety, and who do you think they get it from? And schedules can really be helpful. I think that with anxiety, when there's a beginning and an end to something, it gives you a sense of control. And so during at-home learning, we learned this right off the bat. We were kind of trying to be more flexible and let's make this more fun since we're all home. But with our children with anxiety, having a schedule was necessary. Our days did not go well if we didn't have a start time of the day and an end time of the day. And then throughout the day, a start and end time to whatever activity we were doing. So if they were expected to do, math, I would say you have 20 minutes to do math, from like, let's say 9 to 9:20, whether they finished it or didn't finish it, we were finishing at 9:20, because that really helps children and even us adults. Like when we know something's going to be finished, it's like, I can handle this for 20 minutes, you know? So that's a great tip, Joann, as far as the schedules. I really also loved what you said, Joann, about feeling words, because that's something we use a lot in schools. And I actually have a book that, Luke, this is one of the resources that I gave you. This is a book we use in my classroom. It's called Superflex. And what's super great about this book is it gives you words to describe feelings. For example, we use this one a lot in our home, rock brain. I wish this could be interactive. Does anyone think they know what rock brain could mean? Okay, so rock brain is when you're stuck on your idea. So this comes across, and it, like one of my kids, like, are we going to the store later? Yeah, we're going to the store later. 2 minutes later. Are we going to the store later? Yeah, we're going to the store later. So it's very like a repetitive thought that's triggered by anxiety. So I'll often say, oh, you seem to really be struggling with rock brain right now, you know? So it like puts a term to it that doesn't make it like scary, and it's not bad. It's just like, that's what it is. Another one we use a lot is glass man in our house. And this is when somebody uses a big emotion for something small that happened. So it's like, you know, you picture like a window like bursting open and breaking when like somebody just spilled milk or something. So it's like an overreaction to something. So I think it is really important as parents, like it doesn't have to be those words. I like how, Joann, they kind of made their own feeling words. But if kids can know how to describe what they're feeling, you're going to be able to better help them resolve that feeling and move forward. So I feel like I'm talking really fast. I'm sorry if I am. Okay. I just get really excited about this stuff. And so those are like some practical things in our home that we do. But those of you that aren't as familiar with like social and emotional learning or parenting, basically what that means is you're teaching your kids skills to be able to understand like their emotions and how they relate to other people's emotions. And so that's what we're talking about when we're saying social and emotional parenting. It's like teaching our kids to really be able to know what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and how they react to others when they're feeling that way. And so some of the things like that I took notes about are like modeling is key. And that some of you are teachers, I know, like Laura is, but modeling is like a great way to teach kids how to learn. So as parents, like I really try to model like that positive attitude and evaluate even my emotions if I blow it. Like Taryn said, like we're not perfect. We're gonna like lose it and be upset and frustrated. And so even saying to our kids, you know, I'm really frustrated right now and I'm not handling the situation right, and I need to ask for your forgiveness, instead of pretending like we're perfect, because modeling it will help them then be able to see what they've done and what they need to do to make it right. So I think that's like one of the biggest ways to really incorporate the learning in the household. We also do check-ins, emotional check-ins, especially with our kids that really struggle with anxiety. This can be done a lot of different ways. It could be just like a, how are you doing today? You know, thumbs up, not so great, doing pretty bad, mom. But that kind of helps us keep a pulse on how they're doing, and if they maybe need like a little extra support in terms of maybe I need to stick closer to one kid today because they're really emotionally struggling. It's really good to have literature in your home. This is the educator in me, that really encourages social and emotional learning. This is a great toolkit. That there's a lot of books. They're the spot books. Luke, this was in your thing too, but they have a whole series of books that talk about a little spot of anxiety or a little spot of anger. So again, it just gives your kids, if you read these regularly, it gives your kids like words to use when they're feeling that way. It gives them strategies to use to help them get out of that feeling of anger. This is one, I won't tell you what kid this one is for, but it says, "My mouth is a volcano." Excellent book. Okay, so we read that a lot, and then we talk about like, "Ooh, your mouth just erupted." Like, that was not okay, you know. So then, but we can talk about it, and then we have words that really express and explain, you know, what they're doing and feeling. And then giving choices. These are just like notes I've written down, so I hope it all is like making sense. Giving choices to kids is really important. I feel like it really gives them a sense of control. Like, it sounds silly, but if I say, do you want the red cup or the blue cup? I'm not like catering to my kid, and like, it's more just like it gives them that sense of like, I have some control, and that can lower the anxiety in them. You can't always offer choices. I realize that as a parent, but when you can, it is really beneficial in their social and emotional growth. And also, like, positive discipline strategies are really good too. In other words, you know, when you see your children like succeeding and doing well, like if my kid that has a volcano mouth is like really controlling himself, or even he just had like a little mini volcano, I'm going to praise him for that, because I want him to know that I know he's working on hard things, and that he is, I notice it. So I always say we don't expect perfection, we expect progress. So I think as parents, like having that understanding that our children are not going to be perfect. They're going to struggle with anxiety during this time particularly. They're going to struggle even with feelings of doubt and fear and worry, and they feel lonely, they haven't seen their friends. And so giving them grace and praising them for the steps they are taking, I think is really important. And I also think that we have to remember, like, this is hard for us, and we're adults, and we've lived a lot of life. And so to have expectations on our kids that are really high, that they need to have it together, is unrealistic, because we certainly don't every day, right? So those are some of the thoughts, some of the things. The other thing Joann said that I liked is creating memories. I had in here, like, playing a game with your kids. Like, if you can do that every day, that gives them so many opportunities to grow in skills in terms of social and emotional growth. Like, because you think about it, there's like disappointment in games, there's taking turns. And so even if it's just like a 10-minute little something, playing a game daily with your kid, they'll remember it. And I think that that's a great way to equip them to grow in their social and emotional ways. So I think that was all I had.
Yeah.
That was really good, Katie. Really, really good. Thank you.
Again, gonna have to rewatch. Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm being honest, like, if you would have asked me, so what month are we in? What month did this start? If you would have asked me in, like, I don't know, February, all the months before COVID, I probably would have been like, you know, I don't need this. But I'm slowly starting to realize, being home with my children more, like, okay, maybe there are some sort of, like, there is a little bit of anxiety, or at least it's coming out a little bit more because of this. And as a mom, like, I was just talking to a few moms the other day, and we were just like, this has been really hard. And there's some days I go to bed and I'm just like, I'm just the worst mother ever. Like, because I didn't know this about my child. So.
But you're not, Taryn. We all.
And I would say, like, if anyone watching has been like saying that to themselves when they go to bed, like, no, we're not. And I hope you don't feel that way. But I really see, like, how I do need to implement more of these tools into our daily lives, just because, yeah, this is a hard season. And I think as they grow up, like, they're growing up in times that, I mean, not how we grew up. So it's just going to probably be more challenging as they go on. So we are going to go into a time of questions and answers, Q&A. in just a minute. So I do want to invite you, you can open up your chat box. If you have any questions, you can type those in. But before we go into time of questions and answers, I'm going to hand it over to Katie's husband, Mark, who is going to talk about a few things that we have coming up at EF.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining tonight. Feel free to share this with friends and family. Before we get on to, can you guys still see me? Because my computer just died or just blanked out.
I can see the pray with us is up right now.
We can see you,
Okay.
Mark.
Yeah. Okay. Because I just got my home menu on. So whatever. So I'm not sure if I'm going to follow the what Luke is putting up because I can't see it. But every Friday we do 15 minutes of prayer from 11 o'clock to 11:15. And it's just been a good time for us to connect and pray for our country, pray for families. We've done a lot of that, and just seek the Lord together. We also have some other huddles coming up. We have the one on change with our president and his wife, Carol. That's next Wednesday at 1:30 in the afternoon. And they'll be going to be talking about change and different aspects of what that is. I'm sure we've faced a lot of changes in just these past few months. So that'll be a good one to join. And then I've been doing some huddles with youth and kid leaders. We have come up with Derek Loperfido. It's Thursday. I can't remember the date because I can't see it, but I'm sure it's up there.
July 16th at 8 p.m. It's on there.
Okay, thank you. And so there's some of those. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can do that, Elim Fellowship, and then you can get all of these and watch them whenever you want, or have a little home group and do one of these parenting ones again. Or we've done some on anxiety, sexuality in church, just a bunch of different ones that are on there. So you can go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can get all those right at your hand. I know Joe did one on worry. And things like that. So there's just been some really good stuff coming out of the fellowship just during this time. We've been learning a lot, as everybody has, but I've enjoyed tonight. I've learned a lot because I feel like I'm a grandparent and a parent with my age. So feel free to ask any questions, and I'll turn it back to Taryn.
Thank you. Yes, I was gonna mention that this should be up on YouTube. Hopefully tomorrow, we'll see. You can keep checking. It'll be a nice surprise. So you can rewatch this. You can share this with friends, family, anyone who you feel like could use these resources. So I am gonna open the floor up for questions right now. If you have a specific question for Joann or Katie, or a broader question, maybe one of us can answer. You can put it in the comment or in the chat box, or just if you're brave enough to unmute. And
I have a quick question, and it can probably be a general question. I'm not sure the background for everybody, but I just recently, not necessarily because of COVID, although it happened sort of simultaneously, I went from working mom to stay-at-home mom, and I'm going to hopefully be that stay-at-home mom for a while. But my son is 3.5, and he's used to mom working. He's used to mom working 3 days a week, pretty much. He doesn't, I leave before he's awake, and then I get home when dinner's kind of getting on the table, and tub and bed and all that. Well, he's struggling, and I won't say I don't know if it's necessarily anxiety, but he keeps asking me when I'm leaving. In the morning he'll ask, like, he runs out of the bedroom and he expects me not to kind of be there, but I'm there. Or like at night, when I did work at night, we'd always have the discussion, like you were saying, Joann, of this is what's happening tomorrow. Mommy's got to go to work tomorrow. You're going to so-and-so's house or whatever. And so every night he's like asking me when I'm leaving the next day, or even during the day, I'll tell him that someone's coming over to play with him, and he'll say, where are you going? Because that's how it used to be. I was with them unless I was at work most of the time. Like I never just like had someone come over so I could go grocery shopping, like if I wasn't here, it's because I was working. And so he's asking a lot, like when I'm leaving. And I don't know how to like I keep saying, mommy's going to be home now, because I don't want to be like, mommy's going to be home for a long time, or like he doesn't understand that. So I just wonder if anybody had any advice for that. Like I did tell him, Mommy doesn't have to go back to work for a while. You know, Mommy will be home until the one day I was like, Mommy will be home until it's not warm out anymore, you know, because I don't know if I'll go back to work like in the, you know, the fall or the winter. I don't know what our plan is. And so I just wondered if anybody had any advice for having that conversation with him. So he stops asking me.
I just have one thought that came to my mind, and this is something I actually just heard recently somebody say about it's preview versus review, but I almost think in your case both of those things could apply. So
Okay.
maybe like at night you could preview the next day with him and say, remember, Mommy is home, whatever, and then at the end of the day review, you know, what the day was like and that you were home. Some kids benefit more from like the preview of something and then some kids really benefit from like reviewing what just happened. But I almost wonder if you had both, like a conversation on both ends, previewing the day and then reviewing the day, reminding him that you were there. I don't know, that's something that came to my mind.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you.
That is really good, Katie. And I think that we don't give enough thought to the fact that, you know, as much as we're struggling through what's happening in our world right now, our children are struggling too. And transitions are really hard for kids. And so even at 3.5, that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
That he is experiencing transitions and not understanding what happened. Like even in his mind, he's doesn't understand what in the world happened. I'm sure he's thrilled that you're home more. But the transition of it off, and so it throws us off as adults. And that's one of the things that I really have been praying for parents about, is that how unbelievably altering it is for our children to have to live through this. So I think what Katie said was that was a educator's preview and review. So that was really good. But I think that's excellent, because we do need to do that for our kids, because they have to work through the transitions just like we do. And sometimes I think that we don't give them that space or understand that that's what they need. So that was really good. Good question.
Thank you both very much.
Yeah, we just got a question from Nate. Nate, I can happily read the question, or did you want to jump in and kind of give a little bit more of a background? You're fine. Hi.
Hey.
You gotta go downstairs because I gotta help the Cotters, okay?
So we actually are in a unique situation too, where we live with another family. We lived with 2 other families. And so we had a total of 7 children all together. But like, so mealtime is not just exclusively our family, is also what I was trying to explain by saying that. So we're all sharing a nice big table. We do have enough room for everyone to sit down, which is nice. So, but yeah, it's just, we're dealing with a child who refuses to eat during mealtime. And so it's like literally going on almost 2 years now where this is becoming an issue. And I know part of it is just our lifestyle. Like, we do so much ministry over meals. And so our focus for a really long time wasn't on our kids and wasn't on developing, like we would try in the times where we were just our family, just us. But oftentimes, like, we've got another person over for dinner or another group of people over for dinner. And it's easier to give the kids the Kindle, watch a show for a half hour, and they're not really thinking about it. And so I would say like maybe 50% of the time, like that's how we existed just to get through ministry. And so now that we're in this season where we're not doing ministry, it's awesome because we get to focus on our family. But it's also like, we still haven't broken through. And it's been like 3 months, right? And so every single meal is a continual like reminder of like, okay, we have this half hour to eat this meal and you are now down to 5 minutes. And if you don't eat it, then it's going to get saved for the next meal. You don't just get to skip this because you don't like it or whatever. But it's definitely a control issue. It's like, we were talking about that before, just being able to feel like you have some sense of control. And for this child, it's like her way of just being able to have control over something, even though it's really not working out for her. And so like, we've been trying a ton of different things, but yeah, we'd love to see some breakthrough in this area where like she can eat the food. She just is choosing to control the fact that she's not going to.
If I can jump in, this reminds me of a situation with my oldest who wouldn't wear pants. And like, no matter what we did, like the kid, it would be the dead of winter in New York State, and like he would not put pants on. And so I guess like I don't have like necessarily a specific strategy, but I will say you don't lower the bar or expectation, like you keep that there. But I think sometimes we forget that it might take incremental steps of success before they reach that goal. So for instance, with the pants, instead of telling him to put his pants on, I would say, can you at least get them over your ankles? And then I counted that as success. And I would praise him like crazy, like, oh my gosh, you put those pants onto your ankles, amazing. Well, internally, I'm like, oh my gosh, let's put on your pants. You know what I'm saying? So it took 6 weeks, but the kid put pants on. So I just think that sometimes it's like, I wonder if there's like I don't know if you could talk with your husband, like what is one measure of success for your daughter? Is it eating one thing, instead of like jumping to like eating the whole meal in that amount of time, and then praising her for the success that she did have? That's just like one of the thoughts. It's not lowering that expectation. That's the expectation, and that's what you're trying to get. But it just may not go straight there. It might kind of like do this before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally agree with what Katie said. I would have said the same thing. Just incremental little things like, one aspect of the meal, like not even putting it as the whole thing. Because one of the things that happens, is that as parents, one of the things that I feel like happens is that around food, it can be a real issue, and it can cause a lot of issues later on in life, eating disorders and stuff. So I think that we have to be really careful what we do with our kids around food. And so I would definitely do what Katie said, little incremental things, and so that food doesn't become an issue, because we don't want, we want to make sure, especially with our daughters, guys suffer too from eating disorders, but girls definitely do. So we want to be careful what we do around food. And so I think that your question is really good, and I think Katie's answer was really extraordinary. So thank you.
Yeah, that was a good question. Thanks for. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think our kids are looking for little areas to have some sort of control, because right now everything is so out of control. So if it's food with you, it's other issues that we've been facing too, and trying to keep the focus on, like Katie was saying, celebrating the small victories instead of focusing on where's the wrong in this issue. Thought that was great advice. I think that can be kind of put into any, from putting on pants to eating a full meal. It can kind of cover a multitude of issues. Laura, you mentioned that you have a question, but it's easier for you just to explain it, which is fine. So I will hand it over to you.
Okay, either of you can address this, but Katie, maybe you have some advice. So I have a daughter who's really sweet and kind and thoughtful, and since COVID, she's been super angry. And it's really hard. It's like we lost our kid. And I don't know if you have any advice. Like, it's helped that I'm not teaching like the last few weeks. Like, I know some of that. It did come out one night before bed. She said she thought we were keeping her from school. Like, one day we just decided to not send her back. And so I don't know if you have any advice about how to like diffuse it, because like even her sister's starting to say things like Sarah's mean, she's not nice, you know, like, and it's like I don't want them to think that about each other. I don't want her to be angry. I don't know if you have any advice for how to like kind of help her navigate this. She's got all this stuff and it just comes out like it's super angry. These massive meltdowns, and we're trying to like everything we know to do to help her, you know, like everything we know to do. But I don't know if you have any advice from your perspective, like how to kind of help her navigate this and help us navigate it, you know, trying to stay calm, you know.
Well, first of all, I'm really sorry. It's so hard and it's heartbreaking for a mama to see their kids struggling. And so I've been there with you, Mama, and it's not easy. So I will say, like I said, one of my kids has very extreme external anxiety, and so my guess is, I mean, you know, is that she's probably just like bottling up like anxiety and it's coming out like in anger. And then it can affect siblings for sure, because then they're being mistreated. And so I think like some of the things that I recommended, and Joann, like creating positive experiences with games to help manage emotions. I think asking a lot of questions can be helpful. I know one of my guys, it's like, if he starts getting angry like that and it's like just, he's the volcano mouth, it's like we go to a separate room and I say, what do we need to do to reset? Like, what do you need right now? Sometimes just asking, like, do you even know why you're upset? And a lot of times he's like, no, I don't know why I'm upset. I just feel angry. And so, you know, I think asking questions can be helpful. I think doing things as a family and creating experiences, and even, like I said, having literature to put, maybe she just doesn't have the words to express what she's feeling. I think all of those strategies are, you can have them in your toolbox and try them. The thing with strategies, you know, they don't always work every time. But if you have them, you can try and kind of just get to the bottom of maybe what's causing it. And if maybe it's just the social part, like a lot of kids are feeling isolated from their friends. They haven't had play dates. Some kids really love school. None of my kids do, which is like mind blowing because I'm an educator. So, but, you know, maybe doing some Zooms with friends or classmates or getting that social connection so she's not feeling alone. I think all of those things would be worth a try.
What do you do when they say, what do you do when they say, I don't know?
I think
5.
Yeah, I think she probably doesn't know. I mean, I mean, there's times like I have felt anxious, and as adults we can relate, right? Like you have that pit in your stomach and you don't really know why. I think that's probably true. So like maybe giving her language surrounding different things and just probing questions, maybe not in the moment of crisis, but even like beforehand, like proactively kind of asking questions or, you know, guiding conversation, I think can be really helpful. I think in the moment, you're not going to get information from her. You know, it's like at that point, how do we just reduce the tension and give her support? But I think proactively, those conversations are going to be more meaningful and effective.
Yeah. Yeah. Laura, thank you for asking that question. I mean, I can't really speak much into this, but I do feel like I should just say, like, you're definitely not alone in this area. I mean, I have a daughter, sweet girl, and even in same thing, just the past couple months, I think this thing is weighing on her more than I've realized until a few weeks ago. And just, yeah,
Definitely.
just like a different kid almost. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So
yeah, I think it's really affected our extroverted personality people. Us introverts, we think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but those that are extroverted, even Katie, she's the social queen, and I can tell when you need some interaction with adults. And so it's just, and you magnify that with a 5-year-old, and they don't know how to process all that, and they're all of a sudden you're taken away from my friends. I know that Courtney mentioned something down there. You know, does she know why she's home right now? Have you explained all that to her? Has she connected those dots, Laura? Or does she think that you just keep her home?
We have explained it to her. It did help when she finally told us, probably a month in. We connected that she was seeing her teacher on the camera, and she thought everyone was at school and she was at home. It was like, no, honey, if we could send you to school, believe me, we would send you to school, because she loves school, and it's been so good for her. So yeah, that has helped some. And so, but thank you. That's very helpful. Just trying to help her work through her emotions, you know? So thank you.
You know, we're all trying to work through our emotions. Like, you know, I've been more angry during these last 3 months, ask Mark, than, you know, probably ever before, because it's like so outside of what we're used to. And so that's what concerns me about our kids, is that they're like the heroes. They're, you know, what they're having to live through and walk through is something that none of us have ever had to do before. And so, Laura, I really feel you in this. And you are not alone, and your daughter isn't the only one. And I think that, you know, you need to know that it's nothing that you guys are doing. It's the time that we're living in, and it's COVID. Blame it on COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Then is she preschool, kindergarten?
She's in preschool. She was in full day preschool because I teach. So she came to school with me. So then went from every day, all day to like nothing.
Yeah.
And because I was teaching, she went from fully being engaged to not being engaged. And that was part of it, was she had a teacher's attention all day and she didn't have my attention. And she's a kid that demands a lot of attention. So we're just trying to navigate all of that. So thank you.
Yeah.
I just thought of one other thing too, Laura. I'm sorry, as I'm like thinking in my wheelhouse. So like all of our kids are so different too, right? And all of their needs are so different. Like I have one kid that like, if you know their love language, one of my kids is quality time. And I kept trying to reward him and like kept trying to like connect with him by, you know, doing something different. And it just was like not helping. And then it was like, wow, like his quality, like he wants quality time. And so I told him, and this has helped with his anxiety and anger like tremendously, is we set a time every day just to talk. And like we talked about how he wants to rearrange his room or how he wants to organize his Legos. So like knowing that, it can be also really helpful to process through whatever they're struggling with.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good question, Laura. I don't know the answer to that.
Good love language quiz.
Kids.
Yeah. You know, I've actually was just saying, I would love to also figure out Enneagrams. I don't know if you can figure them out for kids, but it's helped me tremendously to understand like myself a little bit more. So I would love to be able to figure out like kid Enneagram. I don't know. If anyone out there knows, email it to us. We would love to know that. So yeah, I mean, kids have given up so much. I mean, like even just preschool graduation is such a big deal, and the loss of that, it's a lot. So, and it's not forever. I mean, kids are way more resilient than we think, because I'm the one crying at preschool graduation, and my daughter's like, when do we go get ice cream? So anyways, so I will probably wrap up in a little bit, but I just wanted to give a few more minutes if anyone else had one other question they wanted, or I would also love to hear what's like the most creative thing you guys have come up with to do during COVID. Like for us, me and my husband, we made like a movie theater in our house one day. So even just some like ideas of like, what's a creative thing we could do this summer. Or if you have one more question, we'll give it a few more minutes.
Joann, you said Play-Doh. I don't know, but I have made I have the best recipe for Play-Doh, and it's so much better than store-bought. So if you need that, let me know.
We throw out Play-Doh when it's given to our children, so keep that stuff away from this house. Anything else? All right. Well,
we like to make forts if you want a cute idea. We like to make forts and just
Sports.
Move all the furniture, and who cares if the house is a mess, and just make a nice fort. And that's our kids like that. So just do something, or just letting them do what they want to do. Like, I have to give up my control. I'm not good at that, but I'm trying to do that in this season. Like, okay, just trash your room, whatever, but you're having a ball. My husband always says to me, like, they're having fun. It really doesn't matter. So it's a good thing to remember.
Yeah, yeah, it is a good thing.
Yeah, I've been letting my little two go out and get as dirty as they want. And then at the end of the night, I hose them off. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Go out, get dirty. They're filthy, head to toe, mud. And I don't even care. Who sees them? Nobody even sees them. It doesn't matter. So, yeah. And
Gotta
they're
send
having
a
the time
picture
of
of
their life.
Dave when he does that.
What's that?
Gotta send us a picture of Dave when he does that.
Yeah, okay.
My kids were supposed to be painting rocks this morning because I teach summer school. And my case, my 7-year-old, pretty much his whole body was painted. So that was fun. And I don't think it's going to come out very easily either.
Yeah, Isaac's whole body was painted the other day, but that was during nap time. And that's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been seeing my children give each other tattoos and draw on each other's faces with markers. But I'm like, again, like, who's going to see them?
Right.
Whatever. So, great tip.
One of the I want to jump in. One of the things that we've had to do, because we have multiple families here and just different parenting styles, all sorts of different stuff. One of the things that we've noticed is sometimes the kids need together time, sometimes they need alone time. And so being able to bring some definition to that and some structure to, we've got a lot of different kids who want to do a lot of different things, and we're going to take turns on who's going to choose to, you know, what we're going to do right now, what the activity is. It's going to be free play, but this one person gets to choose what we're going to do. And so it's not always like the dominant kid getting the chance to say what we're going to do during the free play time. And then at other times recognizing, like, okay, the introverts definitely need a break from all the activity. We're going to have a designated, like, no, we're not playing with the other kids right now. This is a time where everyone's resting, or this is a time when everyone gets to choose their own activity. You can go play with the Play-Doh in that corner. You can go play with the blocks in that corner. Those kind of things where it helps to break it up a little bit. And so it's not just the day becomes one big blob, but it becomes like a, you know, people feel like they have a contribution to it. Like the kids feel like they have a contribution to it. And they also feel like they have a relief from it too at different times.
Yeah. Great. I love that. Yeah. Because I've been relying on my oldest to kind of help play with the youngest one. And after a while, I'm just like, she's more of the introvert. She needs alone time. So just making sure I give her that. It's been really helpful too. I love all these creative ideas you guys are coming up with. It's been awesome. All right, so 8:40. Some of us probably have to get our kids to bed. Some of us hopefully are walking out to a quiet house and you can just relax. No, neither am I. But thank you so much for joining us. Like we said, this will be up on YouTube, and all the resources that Joann and Katie have shared, we'll put them in the info on the video on YouTube, and we can email them out. We'll make sure you get them if you didn't get a chance to write them down when they were shared. So yeah, and if you want to join us on Friday for our live prayer, we'll see you at 11. We have huddles that are coming out all the time. But until we see you.
Thank you, everybody. It was good to see you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Bye.
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 Everyone.